Hello, I'm Auli Gian, your teacher on this course on creating insight to customers and end users. This is our fourth lecture. It's about consumer research. This is the first part of this, part A. Here are the learning objectives for this session. To understand the importance of consumer research for firms and their brands and as well as consumers. To understand steps in the consumer research process, as well the importance of establishing clear objectives and the purpose and types of secondary consumer research. What do you think? Why do marketers regularly test print ads like this one before they are placed in the media? Looks nice, but still it will be first tested before placing on in media. Well, it's all about money. Marketing is extremely expensive, and it is important to assure the good outcome of the marketing campaign and use of the money. Consumer research processes are designed and run because marketers have to understand customers to design effective products, services, marketing strategies, and create promotional, appropriate, effective messages. Consumer research has developed from the more general field of market research. It is a field of study that has been influenced by researchers and practitioners in several other fields, including psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Consumer research is important for marketers as the competitive landscape in most every industry becomes even more challenging, and with the growth in global and cross-cultural markets. Here we see an overview of the consumer research process that a typical marketer might follow when conducting research. As you can see, the marketer will first develop objectives to guide their research. Next comes the collection of secondary data, which we will learn is data that is available because it has been collected previously for other purposes. In the next phase, the marketer decides for qualitative or quantitative research. These are very complementary, and there are different schools concerning which one is to be the first one. Some say that we need first some quantitative research before going deeper to find qualitative answers. Anyhow, one often follows the another. In both phases, anyhow, they have a lot of similarities. First, we have to define the goals of the research process, then choose the appropriate methods, decide the samples, then only comes the collection of the data, the so-called field work, which is followed by the analysis of the data, conclusions, and the addition of a report, which can be a written document, a presentation, or both. The consumer research process consists, as we saw, from a secondary research, and then the primary research, qualitative and or quantitative. Information can be classified as either primary or secondary. Secondary information is information that has been collected for another purpose. It is already available. It is often free, but there are also secondary information sources that are required, have a fee. Primary research can be either qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative research includes focus groups, observation, and interviews. Quantitative research is more numerically orientated, and it includes especially surveys, but also experimentations, and observational research can be also quantitative, numerically orientated, or numerically analyzed. The research objectives are defining the purposes and objectives, and they help to ensure an appropriate research design. This is a written statement of objective which helps to define the type or level of information that is needed. It is extremely important that the research objectives are determined at the beginning of the process. Without this agreed upon roadmap for the research, money can easily be wasted and research objectives not fulfilled. At this point, it is important to define the purpose of a particular study. A small-scale study can be run in advance to get insight into the field. Assume you're planning to open a new pizza restaurant near your campus. What might be the 3 objectives of a research plan for your new business? Discuss this issue on the course blog and reflect it, and make also notes in your learning diary. Take your key product that you're using in the assignment 1 in the focus. The 3 objectives of a research plan would be to, for example, to determine the target market. Who would be your customers? Who is passing in front of this place where you are planning to open your restaurant? Who is there during daytime or evening time when you're planning to have your restaurant open? It's also important for setting the pricing strategies. For what price do the competitors offer services? What price are the consumers ready to pay? It's also for designing effective marketing messages. That is defining why a consumer would buy this product or service. What is the value that the customer obtains through your product or service? Secondary data is, as said previously, this data that is collected for other reasons, for another need. And it includes internal and external data. A researcher will collect all the relevant secondary data that is available before jumping into the primary data collection. A good source of secondary data is, for example, Tilastokeskus or Statistics Finland. You can go to their internet site and look for information. There's statistics by alphabet, by topic, by keyword, by producer. Also according to different fields. This information is available in Finnish, Swedish, and in English. You can also find other sources of secondary data, such as Nielsen data, which is often available through your school libraries, but also different papers and books give this kind of information. There are two types of secondary data: internal data and external data. Some of this data is within the organization, and some of it can be collected or purchased from outside organizations. Collecting this secondary data is crucial in guiding the planning of the primary research. Internal data is the data that is generated in the company. This may include, for example, analysis of customer files. It is very useful for calculating customer lifetime value. External data is data collected by an outside organization. It includes federal government publications, periodicals, newspapers, books, research engines. Commercial data is also available from market research firms such as Nielsen, AC, as I mentioned before. Most of the external data comes from online databases, which combine articles, books, newspapers, periodicals, as well as trade and academic journals. Some schools supply access to commercial data, including Nielsen, Arbitron, MediaMark. These are main research companies that generate information. Many people do not like the fact that their personal data are used for marketing. What do you think? How can marketers justify their need for this data? And how can they acquire data and maintain customer privacy? This is important to discuss on your course blog and also reflect in your learning diary. These personal privacy questions, they are always interesting customers. Nowadays, recently this has been a very big issue related to Facebook and personal privacy on Facebook. In many instances, marketers are gathering data to truly provide better products and services. In addition, they want to know their customers better so that they can predict their needs and develop better products and services. Customer privacy and security of data requires different actions in the company that collects this kind of data. First of all, companies should be careful when sharing information. If the information is sold, it should always be in an aggregate and never expose a customer personal information such as names, addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses. They are never to be sold. Second of all, they must be clear within the customer when and how information will be shared. When collecting the data, the company should always inform the customer first. Is this only for company use, or shall this be shared by other companies? Last but not least, companies must carefully screen their employees who work with personal information to prevent such problems as identity theft. Do you have experiences about this kind of matters? Have you been confronting this kind of issues? Discuss this with your peers on the course blog and write about these experiences in your learning diary. This was the end of this lecture, number 4, and we'll be continuing this issue in lecture 5. I propose that you now work on your assignment 1 and first of all visit Statistics Finland to see what kind of secondary data you can find on this internet site. Enjoy. Good luck.